Hey there, cloud culturists. Let's talk us about some conflict. Welcome back to another episode of Cloud Talk. Today we're going to be talking about conflict. Somebody I bumped into at church recently asked me, hey Bryce, you guys talk an awful lot about conflict on cloud culture, on your Facebook page, on the blogs, and I have to admit I didn't realize how often we did. It got me thinking about conflict on the whole, and I just want to take a second to say there's nothing wrong with conflict. Conflict is not fun. It has never been fun, well, at least for me. It's never been fun. It will probably never be fun. But I recognize it has a valuable place in the church. Probably the most cited work for discussing conflict is the separation of Paul and Barnabas. So, let's go ahead and look at the separation of Paul and Barnabas. Acts chapter 15, starting in verse 36. Sometime later, Paul said to Barnabas, "Let us go back and visit the believers in all the towns where we preached." Barnabas wanted to take John, also called Mark, with them, but Paul did not think it was wise to take him because he had deserted them in Pamphylia, someplace, and had not continued with them in the work. They had a sharp disagreement, and they parted company. Barnabas took Mark, but Paul chose Silas. Here's the short scoop. Paul and Barnabas were cruising on a ship right about the time that he was shipwrecked. Mark bailed. He was like, "Peace, I'm out." So when it comes time to go back around for the second missionary journey or whatever, Barnabas is like, "You gotta take my sister's kid. This is my nephew. We gotta take him. I can't. His family." Paul is like, "Heck no! Are you kidding? He bailed on us. He totally flaked on us when we needed him most. He jumped ship. No way." So they part ways. Most theologians or contemporary Bible teachers will teach this as some sort of a good thing. You'll hear things like, "Because they split, twice as many people were reached with the gospel." That's true. That's good. We like having more people reached with the gospel. Here's another one. "Because they split, it left room for young leaders to emerge in the church, to step up and fill the role of the missing counterpart." That may also be true, but that's not why conflict is good. In this case, that was a happy byproduct. It's an example of God taking all things and working them for the good of those who trust in Christ Jesus. The reason that I appreciate conflict, usually conflict involves the sharing of opinions. I have something to say, you have something to say, and when we speak them to each other, they don't match. But we get to work it out. I just watched my wife go through this with a friend of hers. There was a situation that had been bubbling for a while. Nobody was addressing it, and finally my wife took a stand. And not only did it alleviate the pressure, it actually has brought more unity, more closeness, more intimacy to the friendship. And that's what conflict is supposed to do. It's a vulnerable place. It's an open place. That is a good thing. I highly encourage people to spill their guts. There's been too much of non-gut spilling going on, and we need a little more. This is how I feel. I'm not afraid of you. I'm not afraid of your feelings. I'm not afraid of your reaction. I want you to know where I'm coming from, and now I want to understand where you're coming from. Conflict brings resolution. When Paul and Barnabas split, they went their separate ways, but they were also reconciled. 1 Corinthians 9:6, Colossians 4:10, 2 Timothy 4:11, and Philemon 24. I believe at the end of Paul's life, he actually calls for the guys who he had conflict with, including John, Mark, and Timothy, and everybody, and he reconciles with every single one of them. That is the end of conflict. It's not getting your way or being right. As a wise man once said, when you see a brother struggling, go to him and win him back. Not to win the argument. I butchered that. Anyway, you get the point. Don't be afraid of conflict. I know, easier said than done. It can be a blessing. My wife and I, at the beginning of our marriage, had a ton of conflict. When we came together, there was quite a bit of tension, quite a bit of conflict, and we worked through it. And now we have a wonderful foundation. We've worked out a lot of the issues. I can truly, truly say we are happily married, and that increases every single day. Don't avoid conflict. It is a good thing. I rambled. I know. I'm sorry. There it is. That's to this week's episode of Cloud Talk. And next week we're going to be talking about, I don't know what we're going to be talking about. Send in your request to ask@cloudculturebook.com if you want to talk to us about anything in particular. You want to ask us a specific question about your church, an incident that just happened. Please use discretion. Don't use names. And, yeah, have a blessed week.